We continue our team coverage here tracking Helene, and I want to show you a live look right now. This is San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, and vehicles now becoming boats at this point as they traverse these water-covered roads. And friends, I hate to say it, but this is going to be getting worse before it gets better. These water levels will continue to rise through the night. I'm actually not expecting the peak surge to hit until around midnight here on Fort Myers Beach. So please, if you can, stay put. Get your vehicles to a higher level if you can. And just into the Fox 4 Weather Center within the last 4 minutes, it's officially a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, gusts to 155. Central pressure now down to 947 millibars. It is absolutely a worst case scenario taking shape right now for the Big Bend as well as Tallahassee. Landfall projected there later on tonight as a powerful Category 4 storm. It will go down as the strongest hurricane to ever hit our state's capital, of course, gearing up for extensive damage and then also extensive storm surge for parts of the Nature Coast where 15 to 20 feet of storm surge will be a possibility. Thereafter, that storm's going to be heading into North Georgia, Atlanta area, affecting that spot as a tropical storm. So powerful system, and even as it moves inland, it will be a big rainmaker and the threat for flooding, of course, for parts of the Midwest. Of course, all eyes on the coast because conditions here will continue to get worse, and those winds, they're still quite high. Take a look at this here in just the last few minutes. Venice reporting peak wind gusts 61 miles per hour. Punta Gorda just went out. Punta Gorda 58 miles per hour. Southwest Florida International 53 mile per hour gusts here in just the last few minutes. Something else of note. Look at this. So instead of those winds being southeasterly, they're now southerly, and eventually they'll become southwesterly. When they do that, that's when that water is going to be going up even more so. That's when that onshore flow will be at its worst, and that's why we are worried about that storm surge getting worse later on tonight. Here's a closer look at some of those peak wind gusts from earlier today. Naples maxing out at 67 miles per hour. Again, this is all preliminary. Punta Gorda hitting a maximum wind gust of 64 miles per hour. For Moorhaven and Clewiston, maximum wind gust even that far inland of 46 miles per hour. And currently, that center of circulation is about 160 miles off toward our north and west. Still, though, it is dragging those outer rain bands on through, and we are still dealing with these rotating cells. Now, some good news, of course, and we're watching this closely. We have bands of heavy rainfall currently affecting parts of Lee County. Quick-moving cells racing up toward the north around 60 miles per hour, currently affecting Burnt Storm Arena as these storms continue to head here into Charlotte County. Now, I do want to say this. This warning was issued for a cell that is now over here in Northport, so I do expect it to be expired soon. But then our friends here in Punta Gorda, as well as Punta Gorda Isles, Kiesta, seeing some very heavy rainfall from that particular pocket of rain as it continues to work its way off toward the north. Tornado watches continue for the next hour and a half for Lee, Charlotte, DeSoto, Sarasota counties. Meanwhile, that tornado threat has now ended for Glades, Hendry, and Collier counties, seeing as those outer rain bands are now basically done with you. So for many of us, it wasn't a big rainmaker. It was a big wind maker, and especially along the coast. We're not done just yet with that coastal flooding. So generally, DeSoto, Sarasota, Charlotte, Lee counties, that's where we're going to continue to deal with these bands of heavy rainfall. And we can still see some of those bands farther inland, just not expecting quite as much active weather. For tomorrow morning, you'll want to make sure you have that rain gear close. Winds will be lighter for the morning, dropping down to 20 to 25 miles per hour. With those scattered storms, they're going to hang out with us throughout the day, on and off. Again, winds gradually improving as we head later into the day. And as for those additional rainfall accumulations, lesser amounts inland, and then closer to the coast, we could pick up an extra 1 inch or so in the rain gauge. So as we were talking about, with those winds shifting, that's going to be huge, especially in terms of that storm surge threat. That's where meteorologist Andrew Shipley comes in. And Andrew, this is something we've been talking about, that onshore wind. We could see those waters continue to rise.
Yeah, that's right, Katie. You were showing the wind gusts and the direction of those wind gusts more out of the south. As we get closer towards that 8 o'clock time frame, those winds are more out of the southwest. So that means that's pushing water ashore. And that's when we do expect the surge to continue to increase as we get in towards later on here tonight and continuing. Even with the wind speeds coming down at 11 o'clock, they're still onshore. So even into tomorrow, we're still watching onshore winds. And that's why even in towards the weekend, we will be watching for some form of coastal flooding. Now, I do expect that peak to be here tonight, and right around the Naples area about now, right around 4.2 feet there, and that's above the normal high tide and slowly work its way down here through the overnight. But places like downtown Fort Myers, we're still rising up until about midnight tonight, close to about 6 feet above that normal high tide mark. And you can see even tomorrow morning remaining 4 to 5 feet above that normal high tide. So places like First Street definitely will be seeing water on them into tomorrow morning, and that will be affecting your commute and definitely many of those bridge times as well. We are looking at even tonight into tomorrow and even into Saturday morning, that storm surge warning where we are expecting those high waters to continue to be here for the next couple days, and that's something we're really going to be needed to be following. At least, though, we are expecting things to start to calm down as we get in towards your weekend here, and that's when we really start to see that improvement over the next day. So what are we expecting tonight? Well, more of the showers and storms, they start to taper down tomorrow, and more of the scattered variety into the afternoon, and then much better weather conditions as we get in towards the early portion of next week.